So this is the Southside Baptist Church. The church itself is very reminiscent of Roman temples in its layout. Like you can see here how it sort of copies that Roman principle of a singular entrance into a temple compared to the Greek method of entrance to a temple, where they often have stairs going around the entire area for the sake of symmetry. But Romans, however, didn't really care too much about that and just copied the sort of Greek building style, not entirely, but mainly just the aesthetic. So they didn't care too much about the symmetry. The columns, though, you can see how it's kind of a mix of different building styles and orders. Like you can see how it's Doric in the way it sort of gets thin, then thickens. Like there's a slight curve to it, like at the actual Parthenon. And you can see the base too. That's definitely a Doric base. But the cap, however, it's actually a more Ionic, since a Doric woman have a sort of rounded top there, but instead it has an Ionic top or cap. The frieze too, where the name of the church is displayed, that's technically Ionic as well, since with a Doric style it would often have a sort of partitions in between, where they'd probably put like one there and then one there in between each column. But this also just lays into the fact that it's more inspired by Roman architecture rather than Greek, since the Greeks only care about a detail like that with symmetry and placing each partition there like that. Overall, though, it's a pretty nice building, and I think it's a great display of how Roman architecture, or even like Greek practices too, for constructing buildings have sort of still held up, and the aesthetic is still pleasing for places like banks, courthouses, and even churches too, just like how they use these similar construction and architecture designs to create aesthetically pleasing temples with a means to have a place that a god could sort of inhabit rather than go in and worship, which is kind of funny now that a place like this is considered sacred just for, coming together and worship a singular entity, while before temples were often considered houses for gods themselves. But that's just a tidbit, though. Otherwise, this is a really great example of sort of a Roman style of building.